Alright, good day everyone. So basically, welcome back to our SPM All Out Series 3 for the year of 2024. And basically today we will continue with whatever that we have covered earlier. For the past two series, we have covered quite a few topics. And for today, we are still going to continue with another three topics. Basically, these are things that we will be covering today. First of all, it's about your function and algebraic formula, where we are talking about the shifting part, right? Whatever that is needs to be a subject, and there are some keywords that you need to actually remember in order for you to excel in that particular part, right? Then the second part basically is about your variations, which is also a little bit linked back to our algebraic formula, where we will need to perform some shifting, some substitution of our numbers into the variables. Then we are looking for the values for the corresponding unknown, right? Then moving on to matrix. Matrix basically is a compulsory questions where we will be looking through for most of the years right? And basically this is I would say is a confirmed questions that will be out in your paper 2. And basically for our sharing today on the matrix part, I'm just going to show you how do you actually get through the equation properly, and by substituting the numbers into correct formulas to get the correct answers, right? So just bear with us for our sharing today, and let's start, right? So for functions and algebraic formula, basically you need to understand how does a thing work and also some of the keywords. All right, so this is a very basic question, and all these questions are basically from our trial papers this year, either this year or the previous years, right? So given that 4x squared minus y squared equals to 3 sub w, calculate the value of x when you have something there, right? So to settle this, basically you will just need to be showing, you just need to actually replace, right, whatever numbers given to you into the unknown, right? So in this case, since this is a formula that's given to you and you have the value of your y and your w, basically you will just perform some basic substitution to get the values of x, right? There are two ways for you to actually continue. You can perform shifting first to get your x as the subject, or in this case, I will choose to actually replace your y and w to numbers, so that you can actually simplify whatever that you can see. Then after that, only you do your shifting, right? So y equals to -2, since you have 4x squared minus y squared equals to 3 sub w, and your y is a -2, you just need to put in, you have 4x squared minus, remember anything with a negative part, you will just need to put a bracket, right? Just in case you forget, a power 2 with a negative number, you'll get a positive number, right? So -2 bracket square equals to 3. You have 16 here, so this should be a square root of 16. And this part is a multiplication, you should know that. Alright, you can continue by performing your 4x squared. Minus, you still remain as a minus. -2 squared, you will get a 4. And this is actually 3 times 4. Okay, because square root 16, you square root it, you'll get a 4, and there's a multiplication. Continue shifting your part, you have 4x squared equals to 12 plus 4, you get a 16. And continue whatever that you are doing now, alright? To get your x value, you need to shift your 4 away, so you have 16 over 4, you get a 4. And from here, to get your x value, square, to eliminate your square, you need to square root whatever that you have. And basically B is your answer, right? So looking at those questions similarly to this type of principle, you will just need to put in the numbers based on the given number and also the unknown, right? You just put in, then everything should be fine, right? So this is the first question. I think it shouldn't be any issue over here, right? Then moving to the second questions. All right, these are the standard questions that will be asked in your paper. Basically, this is something that we will need to do some shifting to get a subject, right? The keywords over here is in terms of So anything that you can see about in terms of, basically you can replace with an equal sign. Alright, so express A in terms of V, basically it means you need to find A equals to something something, where let's say in this case in terms of B, you will have B on your right hand side. Alright, there are two conditions for you to make sure that this is a correct statement, specifically referring to your left hand side. So when we are talking about left hand side and right hand side, basically it is differentiated between the equal signs, right? The equal sign is just like a longkang, right? A drain. Then before your longkang, basically this is what we call a left hand side. After your equal sign, this is your right hand side. Okay, so express A, you have to make sure your A fulfills two conditions. A should be on your left hand side, this is the first condition, and your A must be positive A, which means A memang is A. You cannot have 2A, you cannot have A square, A over 2, or even negative A. Alright, A must be A itself, and A must be on your left hand side. So this is a basic rules that you have to remember when you are performing your algebraic functions or algebraic formula. Right? So since this is the questions given to us, and you can actually realize your A is on your right hand side over here, right? So in this case, for you to securely answer this correctly, again, there are two ways for you to remember. We'll assume this is like a badminton tournament, right? So first rule is to change your court so that you will have this, you will be getting the correct positions that you are supposed to be. So in this case, A is on your left hand side. You have to shift from your right to your left by shifting your court without changing any signs, right? So in this case, you can just put square root 1 minus A over 2 equals to B, right? This is for those who actually need more practices and understanding to minimize all the mistakes. But for those who excel, you can just perform your shifting quickly without going through these steps, right? So in order for you to get your A, you will move whatever that's bigger, right? Which means something that's blocking you from continue moving the other elements. Those bigger things you have to shift away first, right? So in this case, you can actually see this square root is something very big that causes your 1 minus, your 1 cannot be shifted, your over 2 cannot be shifted as well. Okay, so you have to shift away your square root, and from this you will get A 1 minus A over 2 equals to B squared. Alright, again, square root, cube root, and those stuff you have to be familiar by now. And you can just continue to shift until you get your positive A. Alright, so over here, again, your over 2 is something bigger that blocks you from shifting your 1 away because everything is divided by 2. The 2 is the one that is blocking. Okay, so again, shift over, you will have 1 minus A equals to 2B squared because it is changing from a division to multiplication. Okay, and in this case, again, you can continue to shift. You will have a negative A equals to 2B squared minus 1. And don't stop it here because, again, I need to express my A, which means my left-hand side must be A and my A must be a positive A, right? So from negative to positive, I think this is very clear. Since you are changing the sign on your left-hand side, under equal or under your inequality pun, you have to change your sign for every single element, right? So in this case, the easiest way is for you to change your 2B squared and 1 position, or you can just do it in a more general way, which is to shift your positive to negative and your negative to positive. Then you compare your answers from your ABCD, right? Over here, you can't see any negative 2B squared plus 1, but you know this is actually 1 minus 2B squared. And basically, this is the answer. You will get B. Alright, so as simple as that for your algebraic formula. You will just need to do some basic shifting following our very, very basic concepts. 2 concepts are given to you. You have to make sure left hand side and make sure it is a positive. Alright, then changing your chord if you need to, then shift part by part. Alright, so this is about your algebraic formula. Okay, and from here I think we have some a few more questions so that we can be familiar on this type of questions, right? Okay, this is a little bit complicated, But again, we are following whatever that we have already learned before. So given you have two sets of fractions and you need to find the value of n. From here, you can actually see your n is here. And for anything related to your fraction, right, to ease your solution or to ease your, minimize your problems, we will need to change from fraction to non-fraction. So how am I going to change this? There's only one formula, or there's one principle that can sort this out, which is to go through your cross multiplication. Okay, you can cross anywhere you want, but as long as you are changing the partners, right? So in this case, you can actually multiply 5m with 2 sub n equals to 3m minus 2. Right? So this is through your cross multiplications and the answer that you are getting lah. Okay? Then from your left hand side, basically this is a general multiplication. You can just multiply accordingly. 5 multiply 2, you get a 10. And then your third n, you just put in this way. Okay? You multiply a number with number, then the rest you are just putting it as it is lah. Right? Then for your right hand side, you will just be expanding your 2 into the bracket, and you will have 6m minus 4. Okay? And in this case, you will just again do your basic shifting. You need to get your n value. So n value, you can slowly do it. Probably you can put in your square root n first, so that everything will be over by 10m. Okay? Then from here, you can actually try to compare whatever that you have gotten at this moment with the answer that you are actually seeing. So from here, you can actually see the numerator part especially, right? In this case, you still have 6m minus 4, but whatever options that's given to you here is left with 3m minus 2, which means it actually undergoes some factorization. Alright, so in objective, basically, it's a very simple concept where you have to compare whatever that you are actually getting with the answers provided, so that you can actually minimize the numbers lah. Okay, so from here we know that 6m minus 4 you can actually factorize by taking out 2. Then you will have 3m minus 2. Or basically in this case, I don't even need to multiply my 2 into it. You can actually see these are the same. Right? So if you want to continue, basically you can just remain whatever is on top here, then directly divided by 10m. Okay? And in this case, you can actually simplify. So to get your third n, you will have 3m minus 2 over 5m. And the reason is the question is asking me on the value of n. So from square root n to become n, you need to square everything. So generally, you should have something like this. Right? But again, you can compare whatever that is given to you on your ABCD. Right? So from here, you should know that this shouldn't be an answer because there's no square root. Okay? Then, what else? Okay, this is not the answer as well because you can't get any negative over here. Right? So to compare this and this, the only difference is that you are seeing an m square and m here. The rest are the same. So you have to remember your square has to be applied to every single element. On top, there's only one element because it is a subtraction. So basically, you are bracketing it with power 2. And for your numerator part, denominator part, you are actually getting a 5m bracket square where you are getting 25m squared. Okay, because your square has to be applied into every single element or every single term. Right? I should say this. And you will have your A as the answer. Right? So that's it for this question. And from here, we will be continuing to the rest of the question. Okay, in this case, you are getting P in terms, right? Dalam sebutan, it means in terms of lah. Okay, so you are expressing your P. So again, since you are expressing your P, you have to make sure your P fulfills two conditions, P positive, P left hand side. Right? In this case, you can actually see you have two P's over there. Right? In this case, if you are doing some expression in terms of your, expressing your P in terms of your M and R, in this case, if you are getting more than one P or more than one unknown that you are required to look for, there are some several specific ways that you have to follow. Alright, basically there are only three ways. We are doing regrouping, we are doing factorization, and we will do one more time of regrouping. Alright, so just remember on your RFR. Regroup, factorize, regroup. Okay, so again, what is the first regrouping? Which means we are trying to find whatever P, and we need to stick all the P's to your left hand side. That is your first regrouping. Right? And in this case, you can actually see, again, this is a fraction, and based on whatever that we covered earlier, as long as you are getting a fraction, we will try to minimize the usage of fraction by cross multiplication, or you can do anything as long as you don't see the fractions anymore. Right? So in this case, you can just shift your P away. Since this is a division, you can just shift it over. You will have P, then multiply with cert 9m equals to 4P plus R. Okay, and from here you can actually see on your left hand side there's only one term because it is a multiplication where it has already been mixed together. Right? On your right hand side there are two terms. The first is 4P, the second is R. So for this one, you will need to do your first regrouping by grouping your P elements together to your left hand side. Okay, so from here you are shifting it, then you will get a P cert 9m minus 4P equals to R. As long as you have already gotten your grouping together, in this case it is a P, you can proceed to your second step. Second step is your factorization. So you are factorizing anything that is required by the question. In this case, you are expressing your P. So you are looking for P, you will factorize your P from the left hand side. Right? So taking out your P, it means this is a division, and the remainders, right, or the balance, you should be putting it into brackets. So you will have square root of cert 9m minus 4 equals to R. Right? This is your second step where you have already performed your factorization. And lastly, you need to regroup one more time by sending the unwanted item back to your right hand side. So from here, you will have P equals to R over square root 9m minus 4. And you can compare your answer. Over here, there's no answer given to you which is related to whatever that we have found. But we can again try to link these answer to the options given. Right? Basically, your C and D cannot be the answer because the positioning is wrong, right? And on top of that, you can actually know that your B is your final answer because it is differentiated by the sign. Okay, this is a sign given to you, so you should have a negative lah. But why is it my answers that I've already found is a square root 9m, but the answer that is given to me is 3 cert m? Because from your square root 9m, I can break it to become like this, right? This is our form 1 when we are studying about your square root, cube root principle, right? Under multiplication and division, you can basically separate every single element within the term itself. So square root 9 is actually a 3, and you multiply back with your cert m. That is how you get your 3 cert m, and this is reflected over here, right? So the answer is B for this case because of the negative sign. Right? So up to this point, I hope it is very clear for you to actually understand how do we actually move from one side to another by fulfilling two basic principles. Left hand side, positive. Okay? Then anything that is related to more than one unknown, in this case it is a P, you need to perform the 3 steps, your regrouping, your factorization, and your second regrouping, right? So I think we have another 3 more. All right, so we have another 3 more questions which are related to your functions and also algebraic formula, right? And most of these questions are basically under your paper 1. So For paper 1, there's nothing much that we can do, but I would suggest you to try as much as you can. Try your best to perform whatever that you can, because you have no idea how your paper 1 is going to help you if you stuck in your paper 2 later on, right? So this is moving on to our algebraic fractions, where we learned in Form 2 earlier. So under this case, again, there are some keywords or key phrases that you can actually catch, and you can definitely know what needs to be done after getting those specific terms, right? So you are expressing this as a single fraction in simplest form. So do whatever you can first. Under this case, definitely you need to perform your factorization, because as you can see, your fraction is a very complicated one over here. And since this is a division, I will start by shifting my divisions away, changing it to multiplication, and invert, right? Inverse my denominator and numerator of my second fraction. So you can do it step by step in this case, right? So s minus 2, s plus 1, multiplied. Once you have already changed it to multiplication, shift. You will have s squared minus 1 over s squared plus s minus 6. So this is the one that you will see. Okay, and from here, you can start checking on your right hand side, numerator and denominator. Okay, most of the time, whenever you see something like this, definitely you will need to perform your factorization. So factorization is in your Form 2 parts. You should be getting through that in detail over here, right? So s minus 2 over s plus 1 multiply. Over here, there's some key that you can actually remember. Once you have a negative sign in between with a square, then you will have to ask yourself whether this term can also be squared or not, right? If you have a both squared with a negative sign in between, you can actually factorize it by having two brackets, 1 plus 1 minus, then you just copy the squared elements inside the bracket. So in this case, s squared minus 1 is actually s squared minus 1 squared, because 1 squared equals to 1 as well, right? So after factorizing, you should have your s and 1 being here and here. This is a formula, right? You have to remember this no matter what. So the hints are, as long as you can see a negative sign in between, then try to check whether both elements have power or not, right? If there's a power with a negative, then you should know this is a two brackets part where one is positive, another one is negative, right? So I have s plus 1, s minus 1 over, and this is a three-term expression where you can just use your calculator to find the roots, then you just put in a bracket. Okay, so from here you can have two brackets, and there are a few things that you can actually take as a hint as well. So in this case, I would take my s minus 2 as part of my hint to check if this s minus 2 can actually be on my denominator over here or not, because you can actually do some simplification. A very clear answer that you can see it here is basically this and this. So this is one of the example, right, that will prompt you further to check whether you can perform your factorization correctly or not. So in this case, it's actually your s plus 1 and s plus 1. And for your s squared plus s minus 6, this is your s plus 3 and s minus 2. Okay, so again, how are you going to get this? If you are looking for a calculator, you are just checking your ABC value, then find the roots, but you have to revert. Okay, you have to invert your negative and positive sign. If you are checking through your calculator, you should be getting your negative 3 and positive 2 as your root, right? But in your bracketed form, you should terbalik your sign. So negative will become a positive, positive will become a negative, right? And over here again, since this is a multiplication, I can cross diagonally or up down across my friend or among my within myself, right? So this is a s minus 2 and s minus 2 you can cut, and whatever balance you just copy. This is the balance, s minus 1, s plus 3. So answer is C. Okay, so anything that is related to this case, basically you will just need to put your, how should I say, put your factorized element, then you try to cut it part by part. Right? So from here, this is also something that we need to cut. Don't get afraid because of a lot of terms given to you. Alright, just do it part by part. We will always follow from the sign, right? We'll start with the sign first. So again, in this case, this is a division. So division, you need to perform your multiplication, and your second part, you will need to shift across your numerator and denominator. Okay, so you can just copy first your, let me see. Okay, you can just copy your question first. You have ST plus TU over 4t squared minus 1, then multiply, right? 4t squared minus 4t plus 1 over s squared minus u squared. Okay, so this is the first part that you actually perform after shifting or after changing your division to a multiplication, right? And over here, there are a lot of things that we can start doing. Basically, 4 parts you will have all to perform your factorization, right? The super clear one is basically this one. Because you have square, square, and negative, then you should know this is a s plus u, s minus u, following our concept earlier, right? Besides on this, there's another few things that you can actually see. This part, you can factorize your t out. And this part is quite similar to your s squared minus u squared, because your 4t squared minus 1, you can actually change it to 2 squared t squared minus 1 squared. Right? The key concept here is you have to make sure every element inside the term itself, it has to be changed into something square. Then only you can have the 2 bracket where you have 1 positive, 1 negative. Okay? And this is a very simple factorization. If you're afraid, you just use your calculator to help you. Right? So in this case, I will take out my t and I will leave with s plus u. Right? Because I've already factorized my t, I've already removed my t away from the whole term. Okay? And over, as I mentioned, this one, you will have 2 brackets, 1 plus, 1 minus, and you just copy these items into your bracket. Okay? You don't copy your square back. And this is your 2t plus 1, 2t minus 1. Multiply. Okay, the numerator part again, denominator part again, you have 2 bracket s plus u, s minus u. And the top part, you can just use your calculator again, go to your equation. Then you have 2 unknowns. So you just press 4, negative 4, and 1. You will have 1 over 2 and 1 over 2, which means you have same roots lah. Okay, where you have a 2t minus 1 squared. Okay, and you will get that, okay, through your calculator. And from here, again, you can just start cutting. You have s plus u, s plus u. You have 2t minus 1 and 2t minus 1. So you need to cut only 1. Then you will have t, 2t minus 1 over 2t plus 1 s minus u. And you can just check if you have this answer, right? Yeah, this is your answer. Okay, so from here you can actually see it is not hard. Okay, quite a lot of people, they will be confused, especially when they are dealing with this type of question. They'll find it very, very difficult how to cut, where to cut, and so on, right? So just follow whatever you need to follow. First, to check your sign, right? If this is a division, always change it to multiplication first. Invert the second fraction, then only start checking whether any items or any elements can be factorized. Then you just cut and simplify until you get a simplified answer. Right? So that's it for this question. And we will continue with some factorization question. So in this case, again, you see a square, you see a negative, and you can always link to something where you have two brackets, one is positive, one is negative. In the condition, you have everything square square subtraction, right? So over here, 75 and 12, you can actually take out your 3. And again, how do I know whether my 3 has to be taken out? Because I can always refer to my ABCD. Alright? Or if this is a subjective question, we will always try to check our HCF first, our highest common factor. Right? What is the highest number that can be taken out as a divisor? Okay, divide everything, then you can just make it smaller numbers lah. Okay, so in this case, 75 minus 12m squared. If I'm taking out my 3, I will leave with 25 minus 4m squared. Okay, and from here you should know you can continue very quickly because your 25, your 4, these two numbers, they are perfect squares, which means they can change it to something square. Right? So if you have something square already, again, it is a very simple thing. You are just taking out all the big numbers where you have to expand to two brackets, one positive, one negative. So 3, 5 plus 2m, 5 minus 2m. And you have done 5 2m. Okay, this is the answer. Right? Very simple, right? Over here. So just go through very carefully, as long as you can actually check the square. So basically, again, the hints here is the square part with a subtraction in between, right? So as long as you can get any one of these elements seen in your question, then most probably this will be linked to this concept lah, where you are actually getting two brackets being put together. Okay. Then that's it for your first part. Alright, so we have done on our first part where we are talking about our functions and algebraic formula. So again, before we continue to variation and matrices, something to bear in mind. Algebraic formula, two conditions to hit. One is on your left hand side, another one is your positive. Okay, if you are to shifting something away, make sure you are shifting the bigger element that is blocking the rest of the element first. Right, so for our previous example just now, it was the square root part. It was something divided by 2. Everything there you have to shift away before doing your friend's elements by your side. Okay, so we can continue to the second part. So second part is about our variation. Variation is very alike comparing to our algebraic formula, because everything here is about shifting. But variation is even simpler because there's only two methods depending on the keywords that you can actually see, right? So under variation, normally in our examination, it is being questioned using the combined variations, where we are actually having two direct variation and inverse variation, and we combine these two into a single question where we call it a combined variation. Okay, so again, don't be afraid on this. You just look through the keywords, then put the related information based on the keywords given, right? So the question here varies directly as the square root of s and inversely as t. So as long as you can see varies directly, okay, anything behind your varies directly, it is going to be with the same level as your subject, which means there's no over. Okay, whatever that you have as a numerator, after varies directly, it will stay as a numerator as well, which means there's no something over lah, right? There's only one single element. So in this case, you will have r varies directly as the square root of s. Square root of s is square root of s. It's a very simple translation, right? Nothing much, nothing challenging, nothing complicated over here. Square root means square root, okay? And inversely, as long as you can see the word inversely, just put over. Okay, as simple as that. As long as you can see the word inversely, put a line. Alright, What if the question asks you R varies inversely as T without the directly? So again, R varies directly as, R varies inversely as T. This is the general concept that you need to get. But there's nothing on top. So again, nothing on top in our mathematics, you shouldn't put a 0. You just put a 1 because we have always got something called hidden 1. For example, your x plus x. Why is it equals to 2x? Because you have 1x and you have 1x. And we don't really put the 1 over there because it is redundant, right? There's no point for you to put a 1 there where we can see x equals to 1x directly. So in this case, also the same. Since on top there's nothing, just put a 1. Okay? In this case, you don't need to put a 1 because something on top, which is your square root s, is there already. So you are just putting your t. And that's it. Okay? And don't be confused in between this part and whatever that's given to you. If this is a variation, you will use this symbol. This is the variation symbol. But since the question is asking you on equation, if you want to change the symbol of your variation to equation, you need to change it to equals k. Okay, so follow the keywords. Varies directly, put on at the same level. Varies inversely, put a line, put it below. Symbol sign, if you are being asked on equation, equals to k. So in this case, if I want to change to equation, I will have this equals to k. K should be on top. Why? Because k is k over 1. That is why it should be on top. Okay? And you can get the answer straight. This is your answer. Right? Nothing much challenging over here. You are just trying to understand the question, find the keywords, put in accordingly. That's it. Okay? This is the variation part. The simple part, of course, right? We will go through some calculation part, but again, variation is nothing much compared to your other topics, right? Variation is quite simple in a sense. Okay? So, again, you can just check on this. This is your understanding question. So, L varies directly as the square root of m. So, L varies directly as the square root of m. Square root of m. Then, varies directly. This is answer. But over here, there's none, right? Over here, you can't really see L varies directly as a square root of m. But first of all, you should know this is not the answer, this is not the answer lah. Okay? And from here also, you can actually see your C is not the answer because C is a square. So from here, some reminders for you. If you are getting some root, okay, this is a square root. You will have power of 1 over something. Right? This is something that you learn in Form 3. So, for example, if you are getting a square root, a root 4 of m. So, you will have m. Since you have a root, you will put a 1 over. This is your denominator. That's it. Okay? If you have power following with your base, for example, this is a cube. So, you just put it cube over here lah. Okay, these are all the conversion part when we are learning on Form 3 indices, your chapter 1. Okay, so just go through that if you need more exercises on Form 3 chapter 1 about index, right? And A is the answer straight because your square root is power half. Okay, right, moving on to this. This is a standard calculation part if you are involving calculations about your variation. Okay. So table 1 shows the value of variables j and m, given that j varies inversely with m. So this is the part. J varies inversely with m. So this is the one. Okay? And the value of p times r is 24. Okay, we don't care about that first. From this to change it to equation. Again, j equals to something m. On top, it is a k. Right, still remember, if you are changing our sign from variation to equation, we will need to put equal to k, right? Then k should be on top if you have a fraction. Okay, so in this case, this is your general equation to find your variation. Okay, and to find your variation, basically there are two steps. One is to find the k value. Okay, one is to find the k value. Once you have already found the k value, do your substitution and find your corresponding value that is required in the question. Right? So in this case, how are you going to find your k? Your k basically is your j multiplied with your m based on the conversion of this unit or this equation. Okay? And the question actually tells you p multiply r is 24. So where is your p, what is your r? P and r basically is your j and m, which means your k is actually p multiply r equals to 24. Break apart, right? So over here, the question never asks you to find any k, but from this sentence, you should know your k is 24 based on the conversion of this formula. Okay, so once you already got your k value, again, you put back and you should have j equals to 24 over m. This is your general equation after getting your constant value. Okay, then normally for the second part, definitely they will ask you to find the value of unknown. So in this case, you are getting the value of q. So q basically is your j and 6 is basically your m. You just put back everything into your general equation on your j and m, replacing them with the table contents. Okay, so j is a q, so this is q. 24 over your m is 6, so over 6. So 24 divided by 6, you get 4. Answer is C. Okay, so this is your variation part. Okay, so follow your concept, follow your steps. Find your k value, put in back in your equation, then find your corresponding value depending on the question asked. Right? So, yeah, we are continuing with variation question as well. So, this is the variation that's given to you. You have p varies. This is your directly with q and inversely with the square of r. So from here, follow our steps. Step 1, find your k value. How am I going to find my k value? I will replace with equals to k. This is my equation. Right? All these steps you may need to actually remember. If in the case this question is being asked in your paper 2, then you should follow the steps here. Then you will get full marks lah. Right? So once you have already got your equation, put in the numbers given to you. In this case, this is a complete set of number because you are looking for k value, right? So p is 2, k I have no idea, q is 9, r is 3 squared. Okay, then you have 2 equals to 9k over 9. You can just simplify your 9. Then your k is 2. Right? Once you have already got your k, don't stop it here. Form it back to your equation. So you have p equals to 2q over r squared. Then you perform the second part. Okay? Normally this is a general standard question, right? They will ask you to find one first. Then based on whatever that you have already found to get your k value, they give you another set for you to find. Right? So p is a half here, so you have 1 over 2. Q is 4, so 2 times 4 r squared. Okay, 1 over 2 equals to 8 over r squared. Then, again, fraction to fraction, a simpler way, do your cross multiplication. So you have r squared equals to 16, then r square root 16. Settle. You have 4 as the answer. Okay, so from here again, these are all your step 1. From here, get your general equation. Then your step 2 is to find for the corresponding value over here. Okay, so from here, okay, I think we have 3 more. Okay, we have 3 more variations questions where these are all about your problem solving. Right? So problem solving, don't be afraid. Again, don't be afraid with all the long sentences. Just find the keywords, then it's going to be fine. Okay? So let's look at this question and we can solve it together. So 3 workers have woven 50 pieces of silk cloth. The time required to complete the weaving, blah blah blah. Okay, these are all the general information given to you. Basically, don't care first because you are looking for the variation part, right? So this is a part that we need to be concerned first because you need to form your general mark, right? So given the time t varies inversely, so varies inversely, this is varies inversely as the number of workers y. Okay, then t equals to k over y. Okay, then from here you just go through this part because you need to find your k now, right? In order for you to find your k, you need your t and your y, so just put in. So 3 workers, workers is y. This is your y, okay, because number of workers is y. 50 pieces of silk cloth. The time required to complete the weaving is 3 hours 30 minutes. Okay, and before you put in your t, this is basically your t, it's a very clear instruction there. T is 3 hours 30 minutes, but there may be some situation where you need to convert. Okay, you need to convert your units. In this case, it's preferable that you convert it because you need to find your answer in minutes. So 3 hour 30 minutes, 3 hour 30 minutes. After changing into minutes, you will have 3 times 60, 180, 180 plus 30, you have 210 minutes. Okay, so 210 equals to k over y is 3. Okay, so to get your k, 210 multiplied by 3, you get 630, right? So 210 times 3, 630, correct. So t equals to 630 over y. And you just put it back whatever that you need, right? Calculate the time in minutes. So you need your y lah. So y is 7 workers. So t equals to 630 over 7. And 90 is your answer. Settle. Okay, so over here, the only thing that will cause you in confusion is the conversion of the time. Okay, you may need to read the question back and forth to understand and identify which item that is needed. So in this case, hours and minutes, you may be confused. Then you can continue to read your question first. The keywords over there is find the calculate the time in minutes. So over here, minutes, you should know you need to do some standardization to get the minutes and minutes. Then whatever that you find later as the answer should be in minutes form, right? Because you have already converted whatever that you're supposed to do earlier. Okay, so let's move on to one more question here. So Mr. Toy Company found that the number of toys sold are, okay, so you can actually find your variation. Okay, so R varies directly as their advertising cost S. So R inverse directly as S and inversely as the price of toy U. So U below. And from here, again, R equals to KS over U. You can directly form this out. Okay, then you just put in your numbers here because this number will be linked to find your K value. Okay, then you need to understand what is your R, what is your S, what is your U. So number of toys sold, this is your R. So 9,006 unit toys have been sold. You have 9600 equals to K multiply with S. S is advertising cost. So 54,000 was spent on advertising. This is your 54,000. Then definitely your 90, each toy, U is each toy, price of each toy. And the price of the toy was 90, so put in 90 lah. Okay, do it step by step, don't be worried on that. Then find your K. Okay, So from here to find your K, you have 9600 multiplied by 90 over 54000. Then get your answer done. Okay, 9600 multiplied by 90 divided by 54,000. You get 16. So R equals to 16S over U. Settle. This is your equation. Okay, then from equation, put it back your R, S or U depending on the question. So these are the question. Calculate the number of toys sold. So number of toys sold is R. Number of toys sold. Okay, so you need to find your R, which means S and U will be given to you. So what is your S? S is your advertising cost. If the total cost of advertising are 144,000 and the price of toys are 100. So R equals to 16 multiply your advertising cost 144,000 divided by the price or the selling price, correct? Not selling price, okay, the price of the toy 100. So you just multiply lah, 16144 2304, and this is the answer. 2304. Oh, we have another 0. Okay, because you are cutting 2 zeros only. So answer is donkey. Right, so by now I hope you are actually clear. You can actually see a clearer picture when you are doing your variation. Okay, whatever that we have discussed earlier until this point, we will only follow the 2 steps. Find your K, put in your K into the equation, then find your corresponding value. Right, 2 steps. Okay, one more variation question, then we will move to our matrix. Right, so the mass of an aluminum cylinder changes directly. So this is the part. So mass changes directly with the height and the square of the base radius. So square of radius multiply radius square. Okay, then you will have mass equals to K multiply height multiply R square. You just put in this way lah, right, if you are afraid of making mistakes. So given the mass of the cylinder with the height of 16 cm and the base of 7 is 2464. Based on this sentence, find your K value first. Okay, because everything is given to you. Mass is 2464. K you have no idea, but your height is 16. Your radius is 7. This is your 7 square. Okay, then to get your K, you do your division. 2464 divided by 16 multiply 7 square. So 2464 multiply 16 and 49. You get 22 over 7. 22 over 7. Right? So in this case, you just put like that first. You don't change into any decimal first until you get your final answer. Right? Then calculate the mass. You need your mass. So from here to get your mass, you will use your K, which is 22 over 7, with a height of 8 cm and the radius of 4.5. So 4.5 square. And this is actually quite direct lah. Okay, comparing to the previous question, this is simpler. So you have multiplied with 8 and 4.5 square. 509.14. A is the answer. That's it. Alright. So again, from here up to this point, we have covered, I think, around 6 to 7 questions on your variation. And every single question, they follow one principle, which is to find K, replace K, find the corresponding value. Okay, so this is about your variation. And just bear with me for a little bit more. We are talking about matrices here. Right, so matrices, there are some very detailed information that may need your reading also, but that one I'm not going to touch about it. Right, basically in this point, at this point of time, I'm going to show you or share with you, right, how are you going to solve your matrix by forming equation first. Right, so matrix, definitely you need to understand the basic concept of your xy, your linear equation in 2 variables, and that particular part you also need to learn, right, because there may be questions in your paper 2 asking you to find your simultaneous linear equation not by using your matrix formula or matrix method. Okay, so in that case, you have to either use your substitution or elimination. Okay, so from here, we can just try to form your equation first. So normally for equation, I would suggest you to form a very simple table where you can actually break like this, right? It is a 2 times 3 box. This concept can be used as long as you are getting 2 different units within the same questions. In this case, I will show you, you will have a quantity and you will have the price per unit or unit price. Then you have a total. Okay, normally we are putting this generally to apply into any single questions related to 2 units. Okay, so the price of a movie ticket for adult is 12, or maybe before we move on, you can just try to understand what is the question requirement first, right? By using the matrix method, find the number of adults and children. So this is your requirement. You are looking for the number of adults and children. So if you were to put this back into your table, you should know these 2 are unknowns, because this is referring to your quantity and we have no idea what is the quantity. In this case, is the number of adults and children, right? So under matrix method, you will always have to set assumption for these 2 types of variable first. So in this case, I may be putting let x equals to number of adults and y equals to number of children. And from here, I can actually set my x and y already. And this is referring to the adult ones, and this is referring to the children. Okay, there's something like that. So the price of a movie ticket of adult, so this is price per unit, price for adult per person. So you should know this is 12. And for children is 5. Okay, to get your total, you just multiply, you get a 12x and 5y. Right, I think this one is quite direct lah. Okay, a group of 180 people paid a total of RM1740. So over here, within one question, one sentence, you actually have 2 equations straight away for you. So a group of 180 people, which means this part adds up together, you will have 180. So x plus y equals to 180. Okay, and the total payment is 1740. This is your total payment. So 12x plus 5y equals to 1740. Okay, these 2 are the equations, and you can just continue. Okay, so under your matrix form, first, of course, you have to form your equations properly lah, with proper structure. X, y equals to c. C is the number. Okay, from here, you break everything into 2 brackets equals to another bracket. Okay, just take out the numbers over here. This is 12, this is positive 5, and x, y, just now I mentioned already, if there's no number, you should have hidden 1 in front. So this is a 1 and 1, and this is 180 and 1740. Okay, over here, if you are using xy, put it xy here. Whatever is on your left hand side, you just insert the number straight away. You have 1, 1, 12, 5. Whatever is on your right, 180, 1740. Settle. This is the first step. Okay, from here, we will be doing our matrix, right? Inverse matrix. So put it your x and y. You need your x and y, so you leave your x and y, and you shift whatever here over by performing inverse matrix. So inverse matrix, you need to remember the formula lah, right? It is actually 1 over AD minus BC, then AD change position, BC change your sign, right? So 1 over, this is your AD, so 1 multiply 5 minus 1 multiply 12, AD minus BC, then 5 and 1 you change the position, -1 and -12, you change the sign. Okay, this is something that you have to remember as well. Then put in your 180 and 1740. Okay, show this working. Then perform whatever is on your right slowly. Okay, so x and y equals to, you have -1 over 5 minus 12, you have a 7. So this is a -1 over 7. 5, -1, -12, and 1. 180, 1740. Okay, so over here you can either perform your multiplication based on the 2 bracket first, then only use your -1 over 7 to multiply inside. Or you can multiply the front part first, then only multiply with your the second bracket. It depends on you. Okay, in this case, I will stick to my -1 over 7 first. Then I perform your basic multiplication under matrix. Okay, so in this case, I will have 5 multiply 180 plus -1 multiply 1740. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm doing. Okay, over here, you will have to use this row and this column to multiply to get your matrix. Okay, so for my case, I will be using 1, 2, 1, 2 concept, right? This is 1, 2, this is 1, 2. So I'm using 1 multiply with 1, add 2 multiply with 2. Okay, same idea I'm going to use for my lower part. So my lower part, I will have -12 multiply 180 plus 1 multiply 1740, then close my bracket. Okay, then -1 over 7, you can put it first, then on top you can use your calculator to help you, right? So you have 5 multiply 180 minus 1740. So this is a -840. And for the bottom part, -12 multiply 180 plus 1740, you have -420. And multiply in, you will get 840 divided by 7, you have 120, 420 divided by 7, you get 60. That's it. And under matrix, don't forget to put your conclusion. Conclusion is super important over here, right? So number of adults is 120 persons. Number of children is 60 persons. That's it, right? So over here, you have to excel the pattern of forming equation first, then perform your inverse matrix over here, right? So inverse matrix, again, your AD minus BC is the first part that you need to remember. Then AD change your position, BC change the sign, right? So from here, we will try one more questions on matrix and see whether you are able to actually catch whatever that we shared earlier, especially on the table tabulation of your equations lah. Okay, so Puan Jasmine bought 3 kg of mangosteen and 6 kg of durian with the price of 90. And again, you don't need to care about that first. You can check what is the question requirement. Then you should know what is your x and y. Okay, this is the question requirement. Calculate the price in RM, a kilo of mangosteen and a kilo of durian. So let x equals to the price of a kg of mangosteen, y is the price of a kg of durian. So you are looking for price per unit. Okay, your x and y is price per unit. So from your table, okay, this is your quantity, this is your price per unit, this is the total. See if you are able to do this, right? Since my x and y is the price of a kg, this is my x and y lah. Okay, this is my mangosteen, this is my durian. Yeah, I just put in. Okay, So Puan Jasmine bought 3 kg of mangosteen. So 3 kg of mangosteen, this is 3x. And 6 kg of durian. So this is 6y. With the price of 90. So you should know over here, 3x plus 6y equals to 90. This is the first equation. Okay, meanwhile, Puan Chin bought 2 kg. Okay, over here you need to form another table because this is a different person. Okay, you have xy again. So Puan Chin bought 2 kg of mangosteen, 2 kg, so you have 2x. And 5 kg of durian, you have 5y. By paying a single note of 100 ringgit and got the balance. So this is something they are twisting around, right? They are not getting you the total payment first, but they are asking you to find the balance. They are asking you to find the total payment given the balance. So this is a balance. Balance of 2 banknotes of 10, which means 20, and 8 banknotes of 1, which means 8. So 28 is the balance. So 100 minus 28, you left with 72. So 72 basically is the payment or the total for this part. So 2x plus 5y equals to 72. And these two basically you can use under your first 2 marks. Write 2 linear equations that represent the above information. And you have done on that. Okay, then using matrix method, simple lah. Over here, you will just utilize these two to form your matrix. Then you shift, right? Everything is about your x, y equals to number. So you can just continue where you have 3, 6, 2, 5. You have x, y. You have 90, 72. Okay? Then in order for you to continue, you leave your xy over here. 1 over AD minus BC. Bracket. AD change place. BC change sign. Then put back your 90, 72. Okay, then perform your simplification. So you have 15 minus 12. This is a 1 over 3. 5, negative 2, negative 6 and 3, 90, 72. And you perform your multiplication. So 1, 2, 1, 2 rules apply here again. You have 5 multiply 90 plus 6, plus negative 6. Negative 6 multiply 72. Then you have negative 2 multiply 90 plus 3 multiply 72. Okay, and you get your answers, checking your calculator. 5 multiply 90 plus negative 6 multiply 72, you get 18. Okay, then you have negative 180 plus 3 times 72, you get 36. And that's it. Okay, use your 18 and 36 divided by 3. So you have 6 and 12. Okay, then once you have done this, again, find your conclusion, right? Price of a kg of mangosteen is RM6. Okay, then price of a kg of durian is RM12. And that's it. Alright, so generally these are the ones that we have actually covered. Under matrix formula, you have to always remember the shifting part and also your 1 over AD minus BC lah. Okay, and don't forget to put your conclusion, and you can always utilize your table to try to form whatever information that is linked together and form your final answer, whether it is an addition or subtraction or whatever it is. Right? So basically, I think that's it for our series 3 for SPM All Out 2024. Right? So moving on to our next series, basically this is our 4th series and also the last series, which I'll be sharing with you on the circles and polygons in lower form part, as well as all the consumer mathematics related topic. right? I think this one I may be breaking this into 2 sessions again, because consumer mathematics, it covers a lot. All right, in your chapter Form 3, chapter 3 you have 1, Form 4, chapter 10 you have 1, Form 5 you have 2 chapters, chapter 3 and chapter 4, right? Your insurance and your taxation. So it depends on how is our arrangement going to look like. If I feel it very lengthy, maybe I'll break our consumer mathematics into 2 parts. If not, I will just be sharing with you through our series 4. Alright, so I think that's it for whatever that we have covered so far. Thanks for your time. I hope this helps you well, and see you in series 4.